Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge, they don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like, wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. Welcome to all of our new subscribers that we have gotten in the last few days. We appreciate you giving our channel a chance. And welcome back to all of the day ones. This is as formalistic as I'm going to be, and now I'm about to be Pam. Okay? We have another lawsuit. That just dropped today against Sean Combs, Jacob the jeweler, one of his employees. Oh, it's a lot going on in this lawsuit. So it's over 100 pages. There are 33 counts. It's another graphic. It's a very detailed and graphic complaint filled with pictures and all of that. So we're going to try to get through as much as we can. Skip maybe some parts we don't need to so that we can try to get through the lawsuit and get to the crux of what this young lady is alleging was her experience with Sean Diddy Combs. So as you guys are piling in here, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. I see all you guys coming in the chat. Thank you guys again for rocking with your girl. Hey, Alice and Pavlova and Allison, Snoopalicious, Diamond and Pearls. I see all of you guys. Hey, sis. It's a lot going on here. So, like I said, we're gonna be here for a little minute. So get your snacks and get your drinks and all of that good stuff and again, it's a trigger warning. It's a trigger warning actually on the face of the complaint. So I am going to warn you, if you guys some people have experiences with this type of essay abuse or witnessed or some type of, even if it was someone else close to you, it's going to get very graphic. The pictures are very graphic. I guess this is the new thing. I'm not really used to. Well, I guess a lot of these lawsuits are being published for those of us that are going to read it. Because now, when back in the day, it wasn't that popular for people to go pull up complaints and pull up lawsuits and talk about them. But now it has become a thing. So because it's become a thing, I guess lawyers are giving you something to read. That's all I can come up with. Hey, Maddie. But thank you guys so much again for spending your Wednesday with your girl. I did give some membership, so welcome to all of the new members that were able to get members. We are over 900 members. Thanks to you guys. Thank you guys so much for all the support. June's Poetry said, love your analysis. Thank you so much for that comment. It's my turn, became a member. Welcome to the intellects. Guys, make sure you give it a right hand of fellowship over here. And we look forward to what you are going to present over on the channel. So let's pull up this lawsuit because it's a lot going on here. You guys know I don't tarry long, so you might have to replay, go back, rewind back to the beginning. But this was filed by Adria English, and I believe she had actually done an interview on Tasha K. So when this lawsuit dropped, there is a 7-minute kind of teaser over on Tasha K's website, and I think the entirety of the interview by this young lady is actually on her app. So this lawsuit is against Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Puffy, Brother Love. Okay. Bad Boy Entertainment Holdings Inc., Sean John Clothing LLC Inc., Combs Global Enterprises, Tamiko Thomas, Jacob Arabov, aka Jacob the Jeweler, Vibe Magazine, aka Vibe, Penske Media Corporation, aka and DBA PMC, John and Jane Does 1 through 10, and organization Does 1 through 10. So this is not just a Diddy lawsuit. She's bringing in, as you see, a number of other individuals. But again, these are just allegations. Anyone can file a lawsuit. He has not been found liable by any court of any jurisdiction as it pertains to this that I know of. So these are just allegations, and we're going to treat them as such. So she starts out, and the attorney here is an attorney that some of you guys may be familiar with. Her name is Ariel Mitchell, and she sued Trey Songz. I know that case is still pending in Florida. That was a very interesting case. I started reporting on that, so you may see that video. But Sean Combs, as you'll see in here as well, was implicated in that case. It was allegations against him. I'm not sure if he was ever served. She also filed a lawsuit against Chris Brown, and she recently won. It was a lawsuit against a young lady with rapper Duty Low, but that young lady was pro se. I mean, they went to trial and she won on that case. However, maybe this rings a bell to you, maybe it does not. But she starts out by listing everyone in all of the lawsuits that we went over, which is one of the reasons why I stopped talking about Puff, because I knew I would be talking about him every day, all day long. And it would turn into the Diddy channel, because every time we turned around, there was a new lawsuit dropping. Now, what we did see earlier today was that Diddy was selling his mansion. But at this point, Diddy, you might need to sell some plasma, some blood, some Grammys. I don't know, because I know these attorneys are hitting your pocket. At this point, you might as well just start your own law firm, get you a head attorney, and get you some lawyers straight out of law school that you could just pay a salary to. And then, like, have your own little legal department or something, because I know this is hitting you. But, you know. Anyways, let's go. So she starts out by talking about the Cassie lawsuit, that it was a 35-page lawsuit. Then she goes on, ordinarily when a lawsuit such as Miss Ventura is filed that involves events that took place long ago, witnesses are few and far between, and evidence hard to muster. Not so for the claims brought against Defendant Combs. Within minutes of the filing, Miss Ventura's claims were confirmed by various witnesses, including a rival musician whose car Defendant Combs blew up. Various individuals who observed Defendant Combs beat Miss Ventura in a video released by CNN just a few weeks ago, showing Defendant Combs physically abusing, battering, and assaulting Miss Ventura. So as you guys see, the preliminary statement is just showing his pattern in practice and his conduct, alleged conduct, the allegations against him that has led up to this young lady filing a lawsuit. Since Ms. Ventura's brave decision to file a lawsuit against Defendant Combs has accumulated numerous lawsuits across the country for the same conduct alleged by Ms. Ventura. Days later, more lawsuits were filed against Defendant Combs, one being Plaintiff Joy Dickerson. You know, that's in state court in New York, who alleged that Defendant Combs drugged and assaulted her when she was a college student. The other lawsuit, currently being appropriately refiled in New Jersey, accused Ms. Combs and singer Herein of forcing the plaintiff and another unidentified woman into unconsensual relations. That we talked about as well. At the same time, a fourth lawsuit was filed, with one against defendant Combs Companies and defendant Harvey Pierre, the longtime president of Bad Boys. Okay, let's move on. The fifth lawsuit filed against defendant Combs included allegations brought by Doe. Plaintiffs are just as egregious than those brought by his prior victims, including that plaintiff Doe was trafficked and gang RA'd by defendant Combs and various other individuals. You know what? You guys make sure, if you want to super chat and support the channel, because I'm pretty sure there are no advertisements about to go up in this video. Now that I'm really, looking at it and the warning that was on there, if you want to support the channel, this is the video to support it on. Let me go on. A sixth lawsuit was filed against defendant Combs and various other defendants by plaintiff Rodney Jones. I didn't go over that. That was a back and forth with the Blackburn attorney. And so I really didn't go over that too much because, yeah, it was actually shorter than this one. So I guess I could have. A seventh lawsuit was filed against defendant Combs and defendant's sons, Christian Combs, by Grace O'Markay. I didn't go over that one either. Plaintiff in that suit alleges she was assaulted and physically harmed by the actions of defendant's son, and that defendant Combs aided and abetted in his son's torturous conduct. An eighth lawsuit was filed against defendant Combs by a model named Crystal McKinney, alleging that she was drugged and assaulted by defendant Combs. The allegation in plaintiff McKinney's complaint echoes similar claims filed by the plaintiff in the instant action. A ninth lawsuit was filed against defendant Combs by plaintiff April Lamprose. In that suit, plaintiff Lamprose alleges the defendant of battery, assault, negligent infliction of emotional distress, and violation of the victim of gender-motivated violence protection of the law. Again, eerily similar to the claims made by the plaintiff. We didn't go over that either. Prior to any of these cases above being filed, defendant Combs was named as a defendant in a civil assault lawsuit in Florida involving R&B singer Tremaine Nevers and Trey. So now that is actually the case that this attorney Ariel Mitchell that is on this case, this is her case. And it was a lot of stuff in that case. There were accusations made against her in that case. It was some back and forth about some witness, allegations about witness tampering. It was just crazy. So that case is still going on. So no updates on that case, even though I think I reported on that about a year ago. So there's the picture of Trey Songz. They like the pictures. That's the picture. Thank you guys so much for supporting. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for the clarion call. Okay, defendant Combs was also implicated in a lawsuit filed in California against R&B singer Chris Brown. I think that was her case as well, for assault, and took place in a yacht anchored in defendant Combs' Star Island estate in Miami. Chris Brown was also referenced in the lawsuit between plaintiff Rodney Jones and defendant Combs, implicating Mr. Brown was in Mr. Combs' Los Angeles home consorting with underage girls and workers. Oh my gosh. So there's a picture of Chris Brown that she put in this lawsuit. If you was sitting next to Diddy and had some pictures taken, you might mess around and have your picture in a lawsuit. Just saying. It's getting wild out there. This is now the 10th lawsuit filed against defendant Combs since November 16, 2023, just as the allegations brought by the other 9 plaintiffs. Plaintiff English claims are just as egregious. Due to those numerous lawsuits filed against defendant Combs alleging the name of similar acts, there is now a growing awareness that defendant Combs was engaging in far more sinister acts than previously known, including physical abuse and ex-trafficking. Specifically, from 2004 to 2009, plaintiff was ex-trafficked by defendant Combs, Thomas, and Arabov. So basically, what she is alleging is for 5 years, she was a part of a trafficking situation by Combs, Jacob the Jewelers, and this young lady, Tamiko Thomas. Additionally, because of defendant Combs' relationship with defendant Vibe, due to their conspiracy in the trafficking enterprise, defendants knew they could publish plaintiff's likeness without her consent and fear of recourse, and chose plaintiff's likeness to use without permission in an effort to continue the defendant's trafficking enterprise for their financial benefit. Therefore, plaintiff brings claims pursuant to New York civil rights law. Plaintiff can support her allegation within this complaint and has lived her adult life with the memories of being trapped in a cycle of trafficking she never asked to be a part of, and was chosen because defendant Combs knew he could groom her. For years, plaintiff had been affected by defendant's action, has suffered extreme emotional distress, impacting nearly every aspect of plaintiff's life and personal relationships. Given all the brave individuals who have come forward against Combs, plaintiff is doing the same. Plaintiff bring this action seeking injunctive, declaratory, and monetary relief against defendants in violation of the Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Law, Gender Motivated Violence Act, NYC Admin Code Sections 10-1101. So they go into the jurisdiction and venue of why the court has that this is the correct court to be in, why the court has personal jurisdiction over the defendants. I don't think we got to go through all that. So many of you guys have asked, and it's a good question, as to why people are able to come back several years later and sue someone with these types of allegations. And it's a good question because that is the purpose of having a statute of limitations. You have a statute of limitation because you do have claims that become stale. So if someone is talking about something and we're in 2024. So you say 2000 is still over 20 years ago. How do you properly defend yourself if you don't have access to go get phone records? You don't have, because they only keep phone records for so long. You don't have access to get surveillance and video. You don't have and that has been the issue and the question with a lot of these cases. So when a lot of the cases against Diddy were filed back in November, it was right the week of Thanksgiving. When a lot of those were filed, thank you, Shay 200, for gifting a membership. I appreciate your support. But when a lot of those were filed, there was a statute that came out that allowed people to go back 1 year, and it didn't matter how far back. So they were just hitting them. Diddy was getting hit with lawsuits. You had Jamie Foxx, which nobody's really talking about. You had, I think Eric Adams had one. There were a lot where I was just talking about all these different lawsuits that were coming out trying to beat this statute. And this Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act is an act of which I guess it has a look back. So we're going to read that so we can understand exactly why people are able to bring these lawsuits, even though in theory, everything that they are alleging would be precluded by the statute of limitation. Thank you, Daniel Stenny, for becoming a member. I appreciate you and welcome. Welcome to the Intellects. So this is what the procedural requirements are on the New York Victims of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act. The New York City Victims Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act created a look-back window on March 1st of 2023, which runs for 2 years. So that means it wouldn't be over till March of 2025 or February 28th of 2025, which runs for 2 years for survivors of gender-motivated violence, allowing them to sue their abusers regardless of when the abuse occurred. The NYC Gender Motivated Violence Act revives any claims against, quote, a party who commits, directs, enables, participates in, or conspires in the commission of a crime of violence motivated by gender has a cause of action against such party in any court of competent jurisdiction. And then it has where you can find that law at. The appellate division has held that SA is an act of gender motivated violence under the law, as coerced sexual activity is dehumanizing and fear inducing. Malice or ill will based on gender is apparent from the alleged commission of the act itself. Animus adheres where consent is absent. The above described conduct of defendants Combs, Thomas, and Jacob, including but not limited to defendant Jacob's sexual assault of plaintiffs, constitute a crime of violence and a crime of violence motivated by gender against plaintiff, as well as defendant Combs' direction, enabling, participation, and conspiring in the commission of a crime of violence motivated by gender as defined by the NYC Gender Motivated Violence Act. Given the extensive media coverage and numerous lawsuits filed in the District of New York, both federal and state, against defendant Combs, defendants BBE, Combs Enterprise, Jacob Vibe, PMC, and those organizations were put on notice of the abuse and trafficking allegations made against defendant Combs. So this is the statute that is being utilized as to why people are able to bring this lawsuit. Only Me 23 said, thanks, Pam, for your work. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. Hey, Glorious Love, thank you for being a member for 4 months. Cheryl said, you're right, Pam. He might want to set up his own law firm. I'm just saying. It seems like he would have an attorney that's kind of his personal attorney, but I mean, he would need more than that for all of these lawsuits. Maybe get a seasoned person and get some people fresh off the bar that's looking for a job who can work up under someone that's seasoned. And maybe that's how you handle it. I don't know, but these are a lot of lawsuits. Thank you, C.I. Hawk, for the super sticker. Amazing Gal, thank you for the super sticker. Forever T, thank you again for the super chat. June's Poetry said, love your analysis. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate it. Okay. Let's get back into it. Guys, make sure you hit the like button on the way in. I know people are going to slowly trickle in because I started immediately because we're going to be here for a little minute. So then in the complaint, the next thing you talk about the party. So, of course, the picture that is chosen is none other than that of Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura is what is picked. So then she gives a little background about Sean Combs. So for those of you that don't know who Diddy is, maybe you're too young or something. This is who Diddy is, and she's very thorough with explaining his background and all of that. Defendant Sean Combs is a rapper and record executive popularly known by his stage name Puff Daddy, Puffy, Puff, P. Diddy, Diddy, Brother Love, or Love. Defendant Combs rose to prominence in the music and entertainment industry over the decades and is regularly referred to as a hip-hop mogul. Defendant Combs was first accused of acts described in this complaint by his longtime paramour and former BBE artist Cassie Ventura, as pictured above, on November 16, 2023. Defendant Combs is a Grammy-awarded musician, rapper, and producer. Defendant P. Combs founded co-defendant BBE, SJC, and CGE. So all of the entities they sued, of course, they're not going to put the full name, they're just all initials. So you got Bad Boy Entertainment, Sean John Combs Enterprise. So when you see those letters, that's what they're referring to. Defendant Diddy has signed through BBE some of the biggest stars in music, including Rick Ross, Machine Gun Kelly, Notorious B.I.G., New Edition, Mace, Pitbull, Lil Jon, Fabulous, French Montana, and groups like Danity Kane, 112, and Total, to name just a few. In 2008, defendant P. Diddy was the first male rapper to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Did you guys know that? Defendant Diddy founded Bad Boy Records in 1992, and the company has sold over 500 million records, produced 38 platinum albums, and won multiple Grammy Awards, according to the official website of Combs Global. In 2022, Forbes estimated that defendant Diddy was one of the wealthiest hip hop artists in America and that his net worth is over $1 billion. That is dwindling by the day. Upon information and belief, defendant Diddy has a long history of committing physical and sexual violence against women and men, both of age and underage, as documented and publicly available in over 9 lawsuits across the country, as well as extensive media coverage on the lawsuits and the allegations made therein. Defendant Bad Boys Holding, it gives their address. They were licensed in New York in 1992. It's a music, media, entertainment company founded and owned by Sean Combs. It has been named in several lawsuits where defendant Combs has been accused of claims of abuse and trafficking. The next party is Sean John Clothing. It was founded in 1998, which has retail sales of over $450 million. As CEO and president of the company, Combs was representing Sean John when he conspired and trafficked the plaintiff. Defendant Combs Enterprise. Court is located in New York. It's a conglomerate founded by defendant Combs, which is prevalent in the music, entertainment, fashion, spirits, and television industries, while including a diverse portfolio of business and investments, including fragrances, marketing, media properties, and liquor. Now, this is defendant Tamiko Thomas. Got a picture of her right there as well. Defendant Thomas, upon information and belief, was an employee of defendant Bad Boy Entertainment at all relevant times. Thomas, in her employment capacity, was responsible for transporting and making payments to individuals like the plaintiff in furtherance of a corrupt organization of trafficking on behalf of defendant Combs and the beneficiaries of the corrupt organization, including defendants Jacob, Vibe, and PMC. We got Jacob the jeweler. You guys, we've heard of Jacob the jeweler, who is known to make the jewelry for a lot of the celebrities. Thank you, Natty. I appreciate that. She said, Pam, you are the GOAT. For those of you that aren't looking on the screen, I appreciate that. Defendant Jacob the jeweler. He's a citizen of New York, but he was born in this word right here. What is that? Uzbekistan? I don't know if I said that correctly. Defendant Jacob was a beneficiary of the corrupt organization ran by defendants Combs, BBE, Thomas, Vibe, and PMC, and is pictured with the plaintiff above when he knowingly had intercourse with the plaintiff who was trafficked for that specific purpose. My. So this is the plaintiff and Jacob the jeweler. Defendant Jacob in 2008 was sentenced to 2.5 years in federal prison regarding a multi-state drug ring, was fined $50,000 and had to forfeit $2 million to the U.S. government. Prior to being in prison, defendant Jacob frequented parties thrown by defendant Combs and BBE, where he knowingly participated in the illegal commodification of women via trafficking. Upon information and belief, defendant Jacob still runs a business, Jacob & Company, licensed to do business in New York. Vibe Magazine. What Vibe do? You see, they got the picture of Vibe Magazine with Diddy on the front. Their magazine run in New York. Defendant Vibe has had an ongoing relationship with defendant Combs and all of defendant's enterprises. It said they allege they were a corrupt and exploitative to plaintiff and to benefit Defendant Vibe and other members of the corrupt organization. Defendant Vibe's ongoing beneficial relationship with Defendant Combs dates back as far as 93. Defendant Vibe further injured plaintiff in an effort to further the corrupt organization when it published plaintiff's pictures in the issue pictured above without plaintiff's notice or consent, written or otherwise. So I guess in this issue, according to her, that has Diddy on the front, she's saying she was published within this magazine and it was without her permission. Defendant Penske Media, they're the owner and parent company of Defendant Vibe upon information and belief. So that has not been confirmed. They're headquartered in Delaware. You know, they distribute Vibe. Then they talk about Defendant John and Jane Doe, and they're basically saying they aided and abetted in the trafficking. So let's go to who is Miss English? Who is Miss English? Let's get to that. Rhea said, yep, Jacob got caught up in the BMF federal conviction. 80% CMOS said, not Jacob who frosted your wrist up. That's what they're alleging. That's what they said. Jacob, Elite Leo said, Jacob the Jeweler was also involved in BMF's RICO case, money laundering for BMF. You guys called that real quick, like, Pam, you're missing something. Jacob the Jeweler was, stop, BMF. Okay, I got it, guys. I got it. Thank you guys for the information. Let's see about Miss English. She lives in California. She used to be domiciled when all this stuff was happening. She was domiciled in New York. Prior to moving to New York in or around early 2004, plaintiff participated as an actor in the adult film industry under the name I'm Unique. Plaintiff participated in approximately 8 adult films prior to moving to New York, which was done while plaintiff was a teenager. Plaintiff was coerced by a veteran porn star, Jake Steed, into doing these films with the promise that they would never be viewed or circulated within the United States. And this is what was put on the plea. This is why I need these super chats and cash apps to come in, because it's a wrap. Look at this picture. Like, what in the world? Viewer discretion is advised, okay? Yeah, this is wow. Okay. Plaintiff moved to New York from California to evade the disappointment of her family when they discovered she was acting in adult movies. As plaintiff was led to believe the adult movies would only be seen and purchased abroad, therefore difficult to be viewed by those who knew her personally. So according to this young lady thought that these movies would only be in other countries, so people that actually know her would never see it. So apparently her family saw these movies and they were disappointed. Plaintiff moved to New York destitute and homeless with her then boyfriend, starving up and coming model Anthony Gallo. So this is her with her boyfriend. While plaintiff's then boyfriend auditioned for modeling gigs and attended Go-Sees in New York, plaintiff began go-go dancing and performing at Larry Flint's Hustler Club on 51st Street in New York under the stage name of Sasha. Thank you, Marquita, for the cash app. I appreciate it. On or about mid-2004, Mr. Gallo attended an audition for a Sean John modeling campaign in New York where plaintiff accompanied him. During that audition, another model and Mr. Gallo were asked to perform y'all know that word, on Defendant Combs in order to book the modeling campaign. Goodness. My. Thank you, Randy, for the super sticker. I appreciate that. I'm over here like, wait, what? Okay. Samia said, repeat that. No, I'm gonna need you to read that, okay? That's why it's on here. Just read that, okay? you, said, you said not filet. Yo, you know what? So yeah. Okay, so Mr. Gallo refused those advances. Mr. Gallo refused, but was later reapproached by employee Defendant Thomas. So this is the young lady offering new terms. The terms being that Mr. Gallo could still book the Sean John campaign if he commanded the plaintiff to work Defendant Combs and BBE's upcoming white party in the Hamptons as a go-go dancer, as Plaintiff was well-known, talented, and highly sought-after dancer at Larry Flint Hustler Club. So they said, oh, okay, since you ain't gonna give, y'all know, if you're not gonna give this to Sean Combs like what he asked, we got another opportunity for you. If you can get your girl to be a go-go dancer at the white party, then we'll go ahead and book you for this campaign. So this is what she's alleging. In an effort to assist Mr. Gallows, which is her boyfriend, his desire to become a model, plaintiff agreed to what she believed to be a legitimate employment with Defendant Combs and BBE as entertainment as the white party in the Hamptons in Miami from 2004 to 2009. Plaintiff did not agree to a lifetime of aftermath of being used as an actual pawn for the pleasure and financial benefits of others. It's 1,000 of you guys. Please hit the like button. We're getting into the factual allegations now. That was just the preview, what we just went over. And it was a lot. It was a lot already. If you're coming in, you guys take heed to the trigger warning, please. It's a lot of adult content in here. There's also a trigger warning on the actual complaint. There are pictures of everybody and almost everything. This is a long lawsuit, 114 pages to be exact, with 33 counts against Diddy and others, including Jacob the jeweler. So let's get into plaintiff's employment at Defendant's Combs Labor Day White Party. As agreed to between Mr. Gallo, Defendant Thomas, and Defendant Combs, SJC, and BBE, plaintiff began her employment at the ultra-exclusive and lavish Labor Day parties thrown by Defendant Combs and BBE called the White Party, and Mr. Gallo began his employment as Sean John. Oh, so this is a picture of him. It looks like it says Anthony Gallo, born May 3rd, 19 in New York City, New York, is an American model or Italian and African descent, standing 5'11". Gallo began his modeling career in 2007 by signing on with Ford Models and Next in Miami. His first modeling jobs were ad campaigns for big companies such as Fat Farm and Sean John. Soon after that, Gallo became one of the first African American faces of Abercrombie and Fitch. I had to squint. You had to look at that. Ooh. Plaintiff's first employment at a white party was summer 2004. So this is her in 2004. Plaintiff believed this to be a legitimate employment opportunity. Plaintiff was picked up by Defendant Thomas in a car driven by one of the defendant does owned either by Defendant Combs, BBE, SJC, CGE, or organizational doe, and transported to Defendant Combs' estate in the Hamptons, New York, which served as the venue for the Labor Day White Party. When plaintiff arrived at defendant Combs' Hampton Estates with defendant Thomas and other ex-trafficked individuals, defendant Thomas brought them into a room where they changed into clothes provided for them. Plaintiff's outfit in the above picture was provided to her as a uniform, as she was led to believe that she was in employment capacity, and plaintiff was required to wear the clothing provided as part of her employment. So this is what the outfit, when she came in, she's alleging that this Thomas lady said, "Hey, come on in the room. We got outfits for you." And that was the outfit she had to wear in 2004. Thank you, the Bow and the Beautiful, for the super chat. Plaintiff's outfit in the above picture. Okay, I said that. Plaintiff was also provided a separate room from the party, away from where the partygoers congregated, that was used by plaintiff and other employees as a break room to take respite during the party, as plaintiff was there in an employment capacity. Plaintiff was encouraged directly by defendant Thomas to provide lap dances and be actually flirtatious with the guests at the white party. Plaintiff was also instructed and directed by defendant Combs as to which guests plaintiff should focus attention and interaction with to ensure his guests were having a great time. Plaintiff was strictly instructed by defendant Combs and Thomas on which bottles of alcohol and champagne female employees were to exclusively drink from, and also required plaintiff to take narcotics offered by a white party guest. Despite being forced to drink copious amounts of alcohol and consume illicit narcotics, the encounters plaintiff was forced to endure were so excruciating that plaintiff remembers them as they still haunt her to this day. Plaintiff was forced to consume liquor and illicit narcotics as part of her employment at the white party. Upon information and belief, defendant Combs laced the liquor with ecstasy, which is why plaintiff was provided strict rules on which bottles to consume from. Plaintiff performed to the expectation of defendant Combs, was personally thanked for her obedience by defendant Combs, and was subsequently invited for future employment at the white party. Plaintiff was paid in cash at the end of the night, typically between 4 to 6 a.m. once the party had concluded. Plaintiff was paid by defendant Thomas, who was given the money from defendant Combs. The first white party in 2004 had no sinister intent or requirement for physical actual contact and seemed to be a legitimate employment opportunity. So when plaintiff was offered employment in the preceding years at the Labor Day white party, she accepted the employment opportunity. Plaintiff was employed as entertainment at subsequent white parties in the Hamptons in New York. Plaintiff was always transported to the Hamptons by way of car service provided by either defendant Combs, all the different organizations, with a driver who was also an employee of either defendant Combs or different organizations, and with defendant Thomas also being present as a liaison and coordinator between employees and defendant Combs. Plaintiff could use numbers provided to contact either or both defendant Combs and Thomas to arrange transportation to the white parties. This included using the telephone and text messaging services to confirm the date, time, and location of pickup. Defendant Thomas would then arrive at the location provided by plaintiff at the agreed date and time in a chauffeur-driven vehicle provided or under the control of defendant Combs, and would include defendant Thomas, a member of defendant Combs' security team, and other employees who were hired as entertainment for the party. Plaintiff was always provided a wardrobe by defendants Thomas and Combs, and also provided a break room while attending the white party. Defendant Thomas and Combs groomed plaintiff into trafficking over time. Around the third white party, defendants Thomas and Combs demanded plaintiff begin engaging in vaginal intercourse with guests, as they had learned about her past in adult entertainment and used it forcefully to coerce plaintiff into X work for the benefit of defendant Thomas and Combs and their beneficiaries. During the white party, plaintiff was provided a black dress to wear by defendants Thomas and Combs, when previously plaintiff was provided white clothing like other guests and the theme of the party. Upon information and belief, plaintiff believes she was required to wear a black dress to the white party to denote her capacity there as an employee, but more sinisterly as an ex-traffic ex-worker. One beneficiary is Defendant Jacob, who plaintiff was demanded by Defendant Combs to engage in sexual intercourse during the white party. Plaintiff, fearing not only her safety, but her and her then boyfriend's job security, did as instructed and went with Defendant Jacob, where she engaged in forced sexual intercourse with Defendant Jacob as the demand and behest of Defendant Combs. Plaintiff knew refusing Defendant Combs' demand was not an option, and to do so would be at her and Mr. Gallo's detriment. She loved this man. Because you worried about if I don't do this, then he's going to lose his job. I'd have came home like, honey, I'm sorry. Sweetie, I'm sorry, but we back trying to figure out what we going to do next. I passed the McDonald's sign on the way, and I'm sorry. If your job was contingent on Puffy, it's not going to work out because they going too far with this. But I guess she was in love. Very interesting. So this is a picture of her and her man. Glorious love. I would have came home and I would have said, he would have said, honey, how was your day? My day was okay, but your day, it just got a little rough. So what had happened was they asked me, they being your boss, they asked me to go in there with Jacob. Yeah, the ice guy, the guy with all the jewelry and stuff and the necklaces. They asked me to lay it low and spread it wide. And I was like, no. So when you come to work tomorrow, your time card may not work. Okay. When you come in, your key card to get in the building, the numbers might be changed. I don't know. But we'll figure it out together, okay? We might have to go ahead to the Department of Human Services, get a few food stamps. I don't know what we're going to do. But the fact that she said I was worried about his job is very interesting. That is love. I guess that's a different kind of love. Van C said, job terminated, man. God did it. Said we would have fallen out of love because I would have said deuces, I'm out of here. Yeah, the fact she immediately, hindsight being perfect vision, so I don't want to negate like anything that she went through or minimize what she's alleging she went through, but that's a lot to say. Well, I love, I'm like, well, I gotta do it because then my man might lose his job. Jackpot said he got fired on. That's exactly what would have happened. He would have came in the next day with his little duffel bag, and he would have said, he would have pressed the button. Who are you? Gallo. Who? Gallo. Who you work for? I work for Puffy. Your name ain't on the list. What do you mean my name not on the list? I've been working for him for the last couple of months. What do you mean? Your name's not on the list. I need you to call Puffy and I need you to tell him that Gallo is right here at this buzzer. My key card isn't working. And then it would have just went black. That's how he would listen. Hey, misbehaving. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, that's a rough one. Okay, plaintiff was coerced by Defendant Combs into consuming copious amounts of allegedly laced alcohol prior to being coerced and forced into having intercourse with Defendant Jacob. Plaintiff is pictured with Defendant Jacob after the assault as plaintiff was still in her role of employment. Oh, this is Jacob right here. He looked like her boyfriend. I thought that was her boyfriend. Let me go back up. Hold on. This is him. You can't really see his face very well. Huh? I thought that was, they look alike. Hmm. Okay, that's Jacob, I guess. Oh no, this is him down here. I was really confused. I'm like, them the same people, right? Okay, I think this is him down here. All right. Plaintiff received an additional $1,000 in cash on top of what she had received as payment at the prior two white parties from defendant Thomas at the end of the night. At the end of the night, defendant Combs personally congratulated plaintiff for following his directives with defendant Jacob and for a job well done. Now he congratulated her. Plaintiff has personally witnessed defendant Combs, Thomas, and Jacob solicit and ingest narcotics and engage in illicit X acts. Plaintiff was also employed at the white parties that commenced at defendant Combs' Miami Star Island residence. During those white party employment, plaintiff travel was arranged by defendant Thomas. Upon arrival at Fort Lauderdale Airport, a car service owned and operated by either defendant Combs, other organizations would retrieve plaintiff, defendant Thomas, and the other individuals from the airport and transport them to defendant Combs' residence on Star Island. Defendant Thomas also was Defendant Thomas was to defendant Combs a Ghislaine Maxwell was to Jeffrey Epstein. That line was in another lawsuit. I think it may have been in Blackburn's lawsuit where they were saying it was that, was it his manager or assistant or somebody that they were saying was, yeah, interesting. Without defendant Thomas, a woman using her inherent goodwill as a woman to gain the trust of another woman, coordinating and acting as an avatar for defendant Combs will be unable to execute his corrupt ex-trafficking organization. Plaintiff is unable to recall details from the Miami white parties due to the increased demand that plaintiff engaged in illicit narcotics and alcohol use while employed for defendant Combs. Defendant Thomas and Combs passed off plaintiff to other defendants outside of defendant Jacob, named as defendant Doe's, to be sexually assaulted as part of their ongoing corrupt ex-trafficking organization. Upon information and belief, plaintiff believes defendant Combs had hidden cameras in every room of his home in the Hamptons and Star Island. Upon information and belief, defendant those who were individual defendants, Thomas and Combs, passed off plaintiff to be sexually assaulted were filmed by defendant Combs' security cameras actually assaulting plaintiff while plaintiff is unconscious during the white parties in both New York and Florida. So she's saying she was passed out, but she believes the security she was filmed with being assaulted. Hmm. I wonder if she was contacted when the raid happened at Diddy's house, because remember they took a bunch of devices that could have very well had some type of recordings on it, security surveillance or whatever. That's interesting to say. Upon information and belief, these individuals and plaintiff were recorded without their knowledge and consent. Upon information and belief, this treasure trove of evidence in defendant Combs' possession may either still be in defendant's possession or in the possession of the FBI, as the FBI executed warrant and raided defendant's Combs residence in April. See, I knew where they were getting at. I hadn't even read that. I really was just reading that one paragraph. So that's what I guess what they were getting at, that either it could be in his possession currently or her face may be in some of those videos, alleged videos that may or may not have been confiscated by the FBI. Defendant Combs makes promises of career advancements by way of music artist to plaintiff. Defendant Combs is very forceful, demanding, and does not take no for an answer, and would often threaten to inflict bodily harm and or terminate plaintiff or her then boyfriend, Mr. Gallo's employment and blackball them from the industry if plaintiff did not comply with his demands. As defendant Combs acted and was viewed in such a way to where Mr. Gallo and plaintiff believed he had the power to where defendant Combs' threats were credible. I would have been fired. I've walked away from jobs before, didn't know how I was going to eat the next day, and God always made a way. But this is like you're threatening to, if I don't do what you say, I'm not going to have a job or my man's not going to have a job. Well, it's time. Let God's will be God's will. This is time for me to move on. That is just. I am damn gangster said, imagine getting fired by your abuser. I quit. Yeah, this it's very interesting because let's just be just a little intermission here. Oftentimes, and this is what I think a lot of these cases are going to have to deal with, and that's not to again minimize anything that happened to any woman because all of this stuff sounds absolutely awful. But how do you get past some of what some people are willing to do to get to where they're trying to go? You know what I'm saying? Like how do you get that's going to be an issue that comes up because I'm sure with some of these people he's going to say it was consensual. We know that is the defense of a lot of SA type cases. But what if you were getting benefit like a quid pro quo? What were you willing to do in order to get where you were trying to go? That's going to be the issue that some of these cases have. Shay B said, take this job and shove it all the way up. Yes, absolutely. Shar said again, yesterday was my last day, honey, and we're through. And you know, we're not taking for granted hindsight. Like I said, it's perfect vision. And people will say, people always say what they'll do in a situation. I can say that I've walked away from very jacked up situations that could have been a lot of money. So I'm saying it from an experience, not from a Diddy, like it wasn't Diddy, but to say like I was always concerned about losing my job and my boyfriend's job. Yeah. Well, Defendant Combs used his power and influence to threaten and intimidate plaintiffs' continued participation in Defendant Combs' corrupt ex and drug trafficking organization. Defendant Combs, in an effort to continue to silence plaintiff and keep her in his ex trafficking organization, offered to help plaintiff enter into the music business as a part of an all-female music group. So there's, I guess, the group. My girl group when I worked for @Diddy. So she must have posted that or something on Instagram, huh? Plaintiff knew of defendant Combs' prowess in the music industry and knew he had the power to help her advance her music career. Plaintiff believed defendant Combs will fulfill his promises to help her career just as he had helped plaintiff's then boyfriend modeling career. Plaintiff, having been professionally exposed to the music industry side of defendant Combs' empire, grew more aware of the true nature of her employment at the white parties was grotesque, inexcusable, exploitive, and criminal. Plaintiff's only way to escape defendant Combs was return to California, with which plaintiff did in 2009. Upon information and belief in retaliation of plaintiff's escape, defendant Combs had plaintiff's then boyfriend, Mr. Gallo, blackballed from the modeling industry and had all of Mr. Gallo's campaigns with Sean John removed. Upon information and belief in retaliation for plaintiff's escape, Defendant Combs had plaintiff blackballed from the entertainment industry. Now, I will say I have heard of people, celebrities, who have attempted to blackball people once the relationship severed or was broken from one of their employees, because sometimes in the industry is so small, the person who your ex-employee goes to, they're going to ask who you worked for before. And when that occurs, they contact the other person, and even though we know from a legal standpoint you're not supposed to talk bad about your employees, they do the off the record type thing, like, how was she? So I can totally see her being blackballed if she left them from the industry. Now that doesn't mean you couldn't do something else, but from the music industry, I could see that happening. Defendant Combs' corrupt ex and drug trafficking organization has caused plaintiff lifelong harm. Plaintiff became severely depressed and began to blame herself for being trafficked and for sabotaging her own career. Being ex-trafficked and abused has led plaintiff into a tailspin of anxiety and depression. In or about 2010, plaintiff was hospitalized for mental illness as a direct cause of her being trafficked by defendants. Everywhere plaintiff looked, she was reminded of being trafficked by defendant Combs, as he is an inescapable presence in music, television, and film. In the ensuing years, plaintiff has also experienced alcohol and drug addiction as she attempted to cope with the emotional trauma of being assaulted and trafficked. Plaintiff has also experienced intimacy issues as the struggles to maintain emotional and sexual relationships with men. Plaintiff was recently married, however, fears her marriage may fall apart due to her mental breakdowns precipitated by memories of the assault and trafficking. Defendant Combs has altered the trajectory of plaintiff's career, denying her a successful and lucrative career in the music industry. To this day, plaintiff experiences bouts of depression, anxiety, body image issues, feelings of worthlessness, and intimacy issues because of being trafficked by defendant Combs. Plaintiff is a woman of faith, and when she saw news coverage of the countless lawsuits initiated by brave other individuals against defendant Combs, she knew she had a moral obligation to speak up. Plaintiff feared further violence and or retaliation from defendant Combs in filing this lawsuit, but ultimately decided that it was imperative she speak her truth with the hopes that no other individual would have to endure the egregious and heinous treatment she has. Plaintiff seeks justice for herself and for any other Combs victims. Amber K said, damn, he couldn't even let the pic stay as a payment for what she already did. Auntie Eva said, time to find a different career, wonder what she's doing now. It'd be interesting. Like I said, she did do an interview on Tasha K. So if any of you guys are on her app, she has an interview on there. There was a 7-minute video. Don't go over there now, where she showed the clip, probably realized the lawsuit came out. And so now, of course, that'll drive traffic over to her app. But she had actually done an interview. I don't know all that she said, but on the 7-minute clip, she did describe how it's very similar to this, of how she met, how she started working for Diddy because of her boyfriend and his modeling career and all of that. I wonder where the boyfriend is. What is he doing? Because she gave up everything for you. Gigi said, the Jaguar speak on this yet? I don't even follow Jaguar. I have no clue. No clue. Superstar Bella said, if both of y'all are trying to be in the entertainment business, then y'all broke. Somebody has to get an 8 to 4, 9 to 5, 10 to 6, 3 to... Not you giving all the times. 11 to 7, 3 to 11. Yep, my man. She's Ruthless said, we were all in New NYC at this time trying to make it. Some walked away, some stayed. I ran. Wow. It would... Yeah, wow. Say Jay said they have to forgive themselves for whatever actions they made. It starts there being preyed upon and forced to do things because of desperation is a form of coercion. Yes. Sonya's hairline say anything to be a part of that life. Yeah. It's a lot of people. It's a price you have to pay. Yeah, that's true. Dave Chappelle. It's with some of that now. See, it's a different era now because you can create a form of notoriety and market yourself now. The way the internet is, you can get on YouTube, you can get on Instagram, you can get on TikTok. It's to a point now where a lot of labels don't even look at you unless you have a certain following already. You can put your own music out. They got CD babies. They got all these. You can distribute your own. There aren't gatekeepers like it was back then. If you were going to get in the music industry, there were certain people that you had to go through. I think everybody probably has a story. Even in the Motown days, they have a story. For those of you that don't know, I've represented Martha Reeves and Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. She got stories from back in the day, like on the bus. I'm like, huh? She has a lot of stories too. So it's when you have it was monopolized by a certain group of people. And back then, Diddy was one of the ones for hip hop and R&B. So if you wanted to make it, then what are you willing to do for you to make it? What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to compromise? And like one of the intellects said, some people walked away and some people were willing to say, what you need me to do, I'm willing to do it. And then the bad part is, just like with, even though Cassie was Diddy's girlfriend and got the label of girlfriend, some of these people get shelved. You can do some of this stuff and then you still don't have your music out. I think Cassie had what, an album or something? And then they still control your music career and they give you one album. Now, when Diddy put out that one album, they oftentimes went platinum. But when you look at like Danity Kane, when you look at Day 26, when you look at he would just come out and it was like they would have these bomb one albums and then you wouldn't hear anything else from them. And it's like that control thing. So you can tell there was a control thing with Diddy, but you had to put your foot down with them. And what am I willing to give up in order to have this career, which he may give me part of a career, but then he may still put me on the shelf. I just couldn't even be in limbo like that. Yeah, the band. I seen one of the ones from the band. Was it back? First of all, when he would have had them walking to get cheesecake on Making the Band, I was like, oh no, that would have been my last day. He would have sent me home because I'm not walking. Listen, it was good advertisement because when I went there, I really went there wanted to go get their cheesecake because I wanted to taste. I'm like, what is so great about this cheesecake that people are willing to walk, that you got people walking miles to get there? That is crazy to me. Walking over the bridge, it was crazy. Yeah, Babs did an interview recently and she talked about, a lot of them didn't have money. They didn't have a lot of money from doing what they did with Making the Band. It was good money to them right then because it sounded good. And plus, now you're on TV, you got a little bit of celebrity. But times are just different now. And I think people are more comfortable coming out because they don't need a Diddy. They don't need a Jay-Z. They don't need a Dame Dash. They don't need a Clive Davis. They don't need any of these people. You can come out and you can go. People are making studios in their houses. You can go pay for studio time. There's local producers that are better producers than some of the producers from back in the day that you can get from your neighborhood. And you can put out something. And as long as you get the traction, you can create. A lot of times now on the internet, you can create your own success, which is not what it was back then. But Bible lady said when he made them walk to get that cheesecake, I never watched that show again. It was foul, wasn't it? That was so foul. I'm Miss Nicole said They was the first of reality TV shows too. They were. Yep. Them and like Run's House. Run's House was more wholesome. But yeah, this Making the Band was one of the first reality shows that we saw. 504 said they've also already lost everything. Might as well say something. That is true. Plus, Diddy is at this point, Diddy is pretty much harmless. Like, he's fighting for his life. Nobody's really trying to be affiliated with him. He's selling off stuff up there, trying to give up pints of blood and plasma. Because every time now you got to get another lawyer to represent you on this lawsuit. He has, look at all those lawsuits that were listed in the beginning of this lawsuit. He has to get an attorney to represent him on all these lawsuits. He has state and federal cases going on. Then, you know, the liquor, you don't have that anymore. Revolt, you're not on that anymore. Like a lot of his marketing and branding and gone. D-Dub said he's even losing honorary degrees. That's real bad when they start give us our piece of paper that don't mean nothing anyway back. Give us our piece of paper back that just says you got an honorary doctorate that you didn't earn for real. They're giving keys to the city back. They're like, give us our key back to the city. You don't deserve it. Diddy Day is gone. We're crossing you off of, you got a street. We're taking street side down. Glamour. You said Diddy about to be broke. Yeah, it's rough. I saw something where he said, I get what I want. Well, it sounds like they're taking it back. Shar, I think they're taking it back. Nestos Bond said he abused his blessings. So ... Yeah. D-Dub said they're changing the locks to the cities he has the keys for. Don from Danity Kane said even though they had 2 albums that were both multi-platinum albums, they all walked away poor. He kept all of their money. That's how you knew it was something when Diddy suddenly wanted to give back everybody's publishing. Like he was willing to give. You had Mace that went around talking about he was trying to get his publishing back from Diddy, and Diddy wouldn't sell it to him. And he offered to purchase it from him, and Diddy wouldn't. Then all of a sudden, and this is what some celebrities do as well. When you don't have NDAs, they find a way that they can get you in a contract so they can put an NDA in there. And so, according to Aubrey from Danity Kane, he offered for them to have their publishing back, but there was a contingency that there was a NDA clause in there. So when he said, well, I just want everybody to have their stuff back, it sounds like, according to Aubrey, not Pam, that he was trying to find a way to get them in contracts that weren't in contracts, that didn't have NDAs, so that they couldn't talk. So perhaps he received notices of intent or demand letters that some of these people, before they filed, that they were going to file. I'm pretty sure he got one from Cassie, but perhaps he got more. And so because of that, they went on a campaign to try to silence whoever they could silence before they started coming out. Now it's too much now. There's no way to stop this fire. This fire has spread all through the trees, so it's too much. Jazzy, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate the love. You said, hi, Pam. Do you have any idea of how many charges Puff has waged against? We only know about the civil portion of it. But if you want to try to add these allegations that people are saying in these civil lawsuits, as long as the statute of limitation has not expired for some of the charges, and I think trafficking may not have a limitation. If it does, it's probably high. like you have unaliving someone, there's no statute of limitation. So there are certain crimes that don't have a statute. So I don't know. Don't get me to guessing. But if I were to, I'm sure if an indictment comes down, if a grand jury convenes and they make the decision to indict, we'll probably be sitting here for a long time, like we're doing on this lawsuit. That's what I would assume. Because all of these people in lawsuit, when you start out with Cassie's lawsuit, it was almost like breadcrumbs. It was very thorough and it was very graphic and very detailed. And a lot of times with complaints, you just do what you need to do to file the lawsuit. But these are like reading like stories. And now you have some with pictures in it, and it's graphic and trigger warnings on complaints. Like I had never seen one before that Cassie lawsuit. So I think if it goes before the grand jury, I think if I were to guess, he's gonna be in trouble if it does go before the grand jury. Queen said Cassie is a genius. Eve said the civil suits will form the basis of criminal charges. They can. It's a story for those of you that don't know that I followed over here from a Lamar Whitehead, Bishop Lamar Whitehead out of New York. And he took some money from a lady and said he was going to help her buy a house, but he kept the money and decided that he was going to go to the Louis Vuitton store, go to the Polo store, and everywhere else. And the lady asked her money back 2-3 times. He said no. She sued him civilly. Next thing you know, he ended up with a count for stealing her money, and he was convicted of that a couple of months ago. So yeah, sometimes civil cases end up forming the basis. And sometimes you'll have, before people file civil cases, they'll file a police report. Or they'll try to contact the FBI before they even file it. They just file the civil case, and then they may be investigating at the same time. So, yep, you do have crossover where some are civil claims. This is obviously a civil lawsuit. It's not criminal. A crossover between the civil and the criminal. Trafficking and Victims Protection Act. According to plaintiff, she was transported from New York to Florida throughout by defendant Combs for the purpose of engaging in sexual acts. Plaintiff asserts during this time, plaintiff was forced to engage in X work and perform X acts to the pleasure of and behest of defendant Combs. Between 2006 and 2009, defendant Combs forced plaintiff to engage in prostitution and X work at his homes in Hampton, New York and Miami, Florida. Plaintiff asserts that defendants Vibe and PMC were involved in defendant Combs' organized X trafficking enterprise. Plaintiff asserts that defendants Vibe and PMC's involvement in the enterprise included providing defendant Combs resources, like intentionally and falsely marketing and promoting defendants Combs' white parties in its publication as a high-profile networking and social event in an effort to disguise and deceive the real intent of the event, which was to further defendant Combs and his various businesses, including BBE, SJC, CGE, and Vibe and PMC's profits. In furtherance of defendants' illegal enterprise, defendants Vibe and PMC ensured defendant Combs and his businesses appeared overwhelming in its magazine, be it on covers or pages inside defendants' magazines featuring pages dedicated to defendant Combs personally or his business. Plaintiff believes defendant Vibe and PMC engaged in defendant Combs' illegal enterprise to increase the visibility and profitability of its publication, Vibe magazine, through the magazine's constant affiliation and relationship with defendant Combs. Plaintiff seeks justice against all defendants for X trafficking. Now, there's claims related to plaintiff's picture and likeness. On or around Labor Day in 2004, plaintiff's picture was taken while in her employment capacity at defendant Combs' White Party in New York. Plaintiff did not know that her picture was being taken Plaintiff did not know what her picture was being taken for or would be used for, nor was plaintiff's consent sought or given. Plaintiff was never entered into any agreement with any defendant to license her likeness, nor was it a term for employment at the white party. Defendant Vibe and PMC intentionally mislabeled plaintiff as a guest at the white party in his magazine to further conceal the true intention of the event and plaintiff's employment role at the event in an effort to further the goals of the defendant's illegal and criminal enterprise. So basically, it sounds like there was a spread in Vibe related to this white party, and some pictures of her were taken. And it's probably that picture maybe in the little white shorts that we just passed up on the other page. And they put her down as a guest. So they're trying to say she was just put down as a guest because they was trying to conceal what she really was there for. Defendant Vibe and PMC exploited plaintiff's likeness in their November 2006 magazine, where Defendant Combs was the cover, and the story was about defendant's white parties, which by this point was a cultural phenomenon. So yeah, this is in the magazine, as I guess. See, I'm just guessing. Plaintiff's unauthorized, non-consensual, and infringing use of her picture and likeness appears on page 140 of the magazine. So they put a bunch of pictures of everybody that was at the party. Plaintiff did not discover the infringing use until approximately 2024. This infringing use promoted without limitation products synonymous with Defendant Combs, including the White Party and Defendant BBE, SJC, and CGE. Plaintiff is readily and easily identified in the infringing use, and her picture had likeness. So this is my thing. So if I take a picture of you with my phone, I own that picture. So that's just like with I think it was Kim Kardashian. There was a paparazzi who took the picture of her, and then Kim Kardashian posted the picture of herself because she liked the picture. And Kim Kardashian got sued because she's not the owner of that picture. Now, if maybe your name and likeness is being used to promote a product or something without your permission, but just taking pictures, I'm not really following this portion of it. But you know. So anyway, I don't see the product. They just got pictures of everybody that's there. It looks like they was just randomly taking pictures in here, but anyway, the aforementioned act violates plaintiff's right to privacy via misappropriation. Plaintiff has never given any defendant a release to use her likeness in any publication or platform, media, or formats, digital, physical, or otherwise. The November 2006 issue of Defendant Vibe and PMC is still readily available for sale and viewable online. At all relevant times, plaintiff had the sole and exclusive right of publicity with regard to the use of her picture, portrait, and likeness under New York state law and common law right of publicity. Defendants have, without plaintiff's authorization or consent, since used plaintiff's likeness for advertising and other trade purposes without consent and without a license to promote defendants' Combs products for commercial gain. Okay, that's different. Like if they used it and they promoting products and all of that, okay, I'm feeling this. Plaintiff is further informed and believes and thereon alleges that defendants Vibe and PMC used plaintiff's likeness in its magazine nationwide, including in the district. But I think the product it sounds like they're referring to is this picture being in Vibe magazine. So they didn't have the guest sign releases or anything, because usually you have them sign releases just to make sure you don't have these type of problems, where everyone signs a release that it's okay to use their pictures and that you make sure that you know you're the owner. So when you go get certain pictures that are taken, usually the photographer will give you the pictures, but they'll let you know they really do own the pictures in that release because they may post it themselves. So I don't know. This is an interesting allegation. None of the defendants at any point had a license for the use of plaintiff's picture and likeness to promote the white parties. At no point did plaintiff authorize, consent to, or otherwise seek to allow the defendants or any of them to exploit her picture, image, or likeness as seen in the infringing use in any manner. Plaintiff is informed and believes and thereon alleges that defendants and each of them engaged in the unauthorized exploitation and misappropriation of plaintiff's photograph, image, picture, and likeness by prominently featuring plaintiff in an advertisement and marketing materials for Defendant Combs, BBE, SJC, and CGE on various online platforms and physical materials, including but not limited to the infringing use. So maybe because he was using her pictures to promote the white party? Plaintiffs informed and believes and thereon alleges that defendant and each of them engaged in the unauthorized exploitation and misappropriation of plaintiff's photographs, image, pictures, and likeness in an effort to further and continue their corrupt ex and drug trafficking organization through their general business partnership and financial support of Defendant Combs, Defendant Vibe, and PMC aided and abetted Defendant Combs' action as herein. Defendant's publication and distribution of the infringing use has resulted in substantial injury to plaintiff. Now you get into the actual causes of action. We have went over all the factual allegations. So what do you guys think? One Jennifer said it's crazy how they would use it all for X. She was an employee of the white party. The picture helped give her job security. That's from Hey Siri. Andrea said, remember, she wasn't a guest. She was there as an employee. Well, she's saying she wasn't really, she's saying she was there for something different as far as trafficking. So at first she was wearing all white and then she was told to wear black. And it was supposed to, as you point out, Andrea, to show that she's an employee. But she's saying she wasn't, she thought it was a legitimate employment, but it really isn't a legitimate employment because she was asked to do illegal stuff. You know, she was being trafficked. That's what she's alleging. She was an employee of the white picture help give. Well, I said that already. Let me go up here. Steven said these white parties are dangerous, nothing pure about them. You know what? Only my brother would say that. Gigi said didn't would have good parties on the Hampton, says my friend. Oh, you saying Diddy would have good parties on the Hampton, says my friend. Yes. We heard a lot about those parties. I was not there. I do not have firsthand knowledge, but we've all heard about Diddy parties. Diddy, Lamar, Nesto, and the Dream can be cellmates. You know what? 504. Cassie's lawsuit was the blueprint, laid the groundwork, and put it all out there. Diddy was dumb to not settle up his house of cards crumbling. Yeah, because what ended up happening is that everyone who filed a lawsuit after Cassie, they referenced Cassie's lawsuit and how she was so brave and she was vulnerable and she put it out there. Because I don't know too many people that didn't believe Cassie. Everybody was like, that probably happened. Then she was naming names. She talked about the security guard that was there, put his name in there. She talked about the car kid Cuddy. She gave names, dates, times, and locations. She talked about the incident in the hotel, of which the video that ended up coming out. She talked about all of that stuff in that lawsuit. Sin said, lock him up. She was in, yeah. So Miss T, what happened is, so yeah, she was in white in the picture. What she said, and you probably didn't see it in the beginning of the live. What she said was in the beginning, she was dressed in all white like everyone else. And then she said as time went on, he had her by maybe the third or fourth time, he told her to wear all black. So she would be wearing, and it was like to differentiate her between everyone else as an employee. But she said she realized it was to differentiate her because she was going to basically engage in trafficking. So Diddy would tell her who to mess with and who she's supposed to sleep with and all of that. And she did it. And part of why she did it, because she felt like she didn't have a choice. She felt coerced and threatened, and that her job would be on the line and that her man would be on the line. Because her man, the reason why she had this job is because her man, according to her, wanted to be a model for Sean John. And Diddy, according to her, said, you got to suck me up in order to get this job. And her man said, I ain't about that life. I'm not going to do that. And so they came back with a new offer and said, well, we know that you're a go-go dancer. And so if you come and be a go-go dancer at our white party, then we'll hire him. So she said, okay, I'm willing to do that for my man. So, and she was like, she wanted to be around the celebrities and all of that stuff, I'm sure. And so she went on ahead and she took the job as a go-go dancer. That's what she thought she was going to do at the white parties, according to her. That's why I want to know, where's this guy at? Because she gave it all up just for you. Like, she risked a lot and sacrificed a lot for this boyfriend, according to her. Okay, so let's get to the first cause of action is conduct and participation in a RICO enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity violation of Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act. And that's to all defendants. We're just going to go through what the counts are. So that's count one. If anybody has any questions related to what these allegations actually are, they're not charges, they're just allegations. But what these allegations are, then I'll, got more pictures. We got 1998. We got Diddy with Donald Trump. I said his name. I really ain't getting monetized now. Every time you put Trump on there, it's a wrap. Thank you, Sam, for the super chat. So 1998, there's a picture where it says there were many illustrious guests at the white party, but Puffy was the star attraction. That's from Donald Trump. 1998, Simmons with the fresh face Kimora Lee. That was the 19. I remember Kimora was what, 19 or something? 1998. Yeah, she was young. Said, I remember being with Betsy Johnson, Donna Karen, and Ronald Perelman. All of us were trying to figure out if we should buy a white outfit to make sure we got in. That's from Russell Simmons. 1998, the pre-Fergie Black Eyed Peas show Love. Man. Here's another page. It shows in 2000, we got Heavy D. 2000, who is that? I don't even know who that is. It looked like Jay-Z over here in 99. 2003. Mary J. Blige is over here in 2003. We got Reverend Al Sharpton over here in 2004. Then this is the picture of the plaintiff. And I guess she didn't know she was even in this magazine until recently. She said in 2024 is when she noticed it. Who is that? Oh, that's Irv Gotti. Diddy and who was that? With producer Scott. Is that Scott Storch? Scott somebody. It has Puffy's always the life of the party. He makes everyone feel like they belong. That's from Paris Hilton. Everybody getting, y'all all gonna end up in court. That's the fight. they're gonna be like, all these people in this magazine could be on the witness list to talk about the parties, right? I would put them on my witness list to talk about the parties, to talk about what they saw, what they didn't see. That's going to be a star-studded witness list, because what she's saying happened was at these white parties. They had all these celebrities. Look, they got her posing like this next to Al Sharpton. This will be a star-studded witness list. For Sean Diddy Combs, it isn't enough for his white party to be the event of the summer. It has to be the only bash that matters. White heat. So I wonder what she think they were taking the pictures for, because it looked like she was posing. So I wonder what did she think they were taking the okay. So this is all about the RICO. Here goes some more. Oh, this is the Vibe magazine again. Then they chose the picture again with Kimora and Russell and Trump and Diddy. 2 pages of unforgivable cologne advertisement featuring Kimora Lee Simmons. Oh my. There's a Ciroc. So these must all be pages in the magazine. Let me see. Defendant, Vibe, and PMC were a direct participant in the marketing aspect of the scheme, as in one issue of Vibe magazine, November 2006, Defendant Combs received an astonishing 18 pages of advertisement, including the cover of the magazine, the centerfold cover, and several direct 2-page advertisement for Defendant Combs' other enterprises within CGE, including clothing, liquor, and a cologne called Unforgivable. The tagline for Unforgivable cologne was "Life without passion is unforgivable." Who knew Defendant Combs' true passion was being the head of a corrupt organization that abused women and trafficked X and narcotics? Well, wow. Auntie Eva, thank you so much. Miss V said, Pam Esquire extraordinaire. Love your work, Pam. Thank you so much for supporting. Oh, man. Thank you again, Sam, for the super chats. So those are what those pictures were, is showing the different advertisements that were. So this is how they're trying to pull Vibe magazine in, like they were a benefactor of all of these shenanigans that were going on with Diddy. Sean John's campaign featuring Defendant Combs' son, Justin Combs. Childhood photos of Defendant Combs used to humanize him in furtherance of the conspiracy. Multiple covers of Defendant Combs for Defendant's Vibe and PMC publication Vibe magazine. 2-page centerfold poster of Defendant Combs that says "And Still Champion." It says, "Oh, it's a comeback, all right. 13 roller coaster years in the game, and Sean Diddy Combs still won't stop." With a new solo album, #1 album from Danity Kane, and explosive new records from Young Jock and Cassie, Bad Boy Records officially back. Diddy talks to Danielle Smith about the drama of being, what is that word? A winner and still champion. Defending Combs with Jennifer Lopez on a world tour. Is that Diddy and 50 Cent over here? Like Diddy and 50 Cent down here in the corner. Several pages dedicated to Defending Combs' Labor Day white parties in the Hampton, New York, and Star Island. This is really like, who wasn't at these parties? Goodness. So, to reiterate, Defendant Combs, BBE, SJC, and CGE appeared in 18 pages, including the cover of Defendant's Vibe and PMC's publication, Vibe magazine, in a single issue. So I guess in one issue, they basically took over that issue. Okay, let's go to see if we can find count two, because this RICO was taking up a lot of pages. Defendants committed multiple acts of trafficking in violation of 18 USC section 1591, trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and furtherance of the enterprise. In furtherance of the conspiracy and to effect the illegal objective thereof, the following overt acts, among others, were committed in the states of New York and Florida. In or about 2004, defendant Sean Combs, through his employee, defendant Thomas, recruited Plaintiff to work for him as an entertainer at his white parties. Defendant Combs promised to book Plaintiff's then boyfriend in the Sean John clothing campaign he auditioned for as a model, make Plaintiff a music artist, and introduce Plaintiff to an ultra-exclusive group of high-profile individuals to further her career in the entertainment industry. In or about 2005, after Plaintiff's second white party, Defendant Combs began more aggressively grooming Plaintiff into engaging in X work. Defendant Combs directed Plaintiff with whom to engage in sex work with X work and would give approval and congratulations after Plaintiff complied with Defendant Combs' demands. As part of his grooming of Plaintiff, Defendant Combs threatened that if Plaintiff did not continue her employment at the white parties, the Defendant Combs will blackball Plaintiff from the entertainment industry and Plaintiff's then boyfriend, Mr. Gallo, from the modeling industry, while Defendant Combs eventually did anyway. At the direction of Defendant Combs and Thomas, Plaintiff was forced to engage in X work at Defendant Combs' home in Hampton, New York, and Miami, Florida. Plaintiff had no authority to be on Defendant Combs' residential premises without Defendant Combs' consent. All of Defendant Combs' properties are protected by 24-hour security, and all visitors must be verified before entry. Plaintiff communicated with Defendant Combs and Thomas by telephone. Defendant Combs communicated by a California number ending in 1496. However, a search of that number leads to New York-based artist Paloma Bally as the registered owner. Why or how a number registered to Miss Bally is being used by Defendant Combs is another conspiracy for another time. The number Plaintiff communicated with Defendant Thomas is seemingly still registered to Defendant Thomas. So she's showing their numbers. Defendant committed multiple acts of procuring, transporting, and distributing controlled substances in violation of Title 18 USC Section 1961 and 1961-5 in furtherance of the enterprise. Okay, so this is allegedly the purpose of the Combs enterprise. As detailed herein and according to Plaintiff, the purpose of the Combs enterprise is to use its position, power, and influence to control entertainers and force these entertainers to purchase, transport, and distribute illegal narcotics and engage in X work. Promote and enhance the prestige, reputation, and position of the enterprise with respect to rival music label artists and execs. Preserve and protect the power, territory, and criminal ventures of the enterprise through the use of intimidation, threats of violence, and coercion. Keep victims in fear of the enterprise and its members and associates. Enrich the members and associates of the enterprise through criminal activity, including narcotics trafficking, trafficking, and fraud. Conceal the activities of the enterprise from law enforcement by threatening individuals' livelihoods if they ever spoke about their experiences to others, especially law enforcement. Defendants committed multiple acts of mail fraud in violation of 18 USC in furtherance of the enterprise. So right now they're just going through the RICO. This is all, a lot of the pages for this is just count one. Defendants committed multiple acts of wire fraud in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1343 and furtherance of the enterprise. Wherefore, plaintiff requests that the court issue an order and grant judgment to the plaintiff as follows. Grant plaintiff statutory, common law, and punitive damage and applicable pre- and post-judgment interest and full recompense for damages. Enter judgment according to the declaratory relief sought. Grant plaintiff such other relief, including without limitation, injunctive and equitable relief as the court deems just in all the circumstances. Grant plaintiff an incentive or service award reflective of the work done in prosecuting this action, the time spent, the effort and hard cost invested, and results obtained in light of the court's judgment, informed by awards and other similar cases of comparable difficulty and complexity. So she wants attorney fees based. This is a complicated lawsuit. The second cause of action is sexual assault and sexual harassment. The third cause of action, and that's against Defendant Combs. The third cause of action is sexual assault and sexual harassment, and that's against Defendant Jacobs. The fourth cause of action is sexual assault, and that's against Defendant Does. The fifth cause of action is the NYC Victim of Gender Motivated Violence Protection Act, and that's against all defendants. The sixth cause of action is premises liability for the sexual assault committed by Defendant Jacob, and that's against Defendant Combs. The seventh cause of action is Trafficking and Victims Protection Act. That's against all defendants. So under here, for each cause of action, each claim, you do have to put who the claim is against, because that is a reason to dismiss your case if you don't specify who your claims are against. Eighth cause of action is aiding, abetting, and inducing an ex-trafficking enterprise in violation of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. And that's against defendants Thomas Jacob, BBE, SJC, CGE, VIBE, PMC, Does, organizational Does. The ninth cause of action is negligent infliction of emotional distress / ex trafficking against Defendant Combs. The 10th cause of action is the same, negligent infliction of emotional distress, or NIED, ex trafficking against Defendant Jacob. 11th cause of action is the same, but it's against Defendant Thomas. 12th cause of action is the same, but it's against BBE. 13th cause of action is the same, but it's against Defendant SJC. 14th cause of action is the same, but it's against CGE. 15th cause of action is the same, but it's against Defendant VIBE. 16th cause of action the same, it's against Defendant PMC. 17th cause of action is the same, but it's against Defendant Does. 18th cause of action is the same, but it's against Defendant Organizational Does. 19th cause of action is intentional infliction of emotional distress, or IIED / ex trafficking, and that's against Defendant Combs. The 20th cause of action. Okay, I'm gonna read one of these because all of these are the same cause of action. It's just against different people. So the IIED, or intentional infliction of emotional distress, ex trafficking, is Defendant Combs engaged in conduct toward plaintiff that is extreme and outrageous to exceed the bounds of decency in a civilized society, namely by subjecting him to sexual assault and misconduct. The sexual assault, trafficking, misconduct by Defendant Combs were extreme and outrageous conduct that shocks the conscience. These actions were taken with the intent to cause or disregard for the substantial probability of causing severe emotional distress. As a direct and proximate result, Defendant Combs' extreme and outrageous conduct, plaintiff has suffered severe emotional distress. Defendant Combs' conduct was wanton, malicious, willful, and or cruel, entitling the plaintiff to punitive damages. 20th cause of action is the same, IIED, but it's against defendant Jacobs. The 21st, the same, IIED, but it's against defendant Thomas. 22nd cause of action is IIED, but it's against defendant BBE. 23rd cause of action is IIED, but it's against defendant SJC. 24th, again, IIED, but it's against defendant CGE. 25th cause of action is IIED, it's against defendant Vibe. 26th cause of action is IIED, it's against defendant PMC. 27th cause of action, IID, against defendant Does. 28th is the same, but again, it's against organizational Does. 29th cause of action, knowing beneficiary in an ex-trafficking enterprise in violation of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act against all defendants. So it has, upon information and belief, defendants knowingly and intentionally benefited financially and by receiving things of value from participating in, assisting, supporting, and facilitating an illegal, coercive, ex-trafficking enterprise that was in and affecting interstate commerce, together with others, in violation of 18 U.S.C. Section 1591, sub A, sub 2. Defendants took several concrete steps to aid and participate in defendants Combs' ex-trafficking enterprise. Among the concrete steps that defendants took to aid defendant Combs were providing unfettered access to resources in his control, which made the ex-trafficking enterprise possible. Enabling defendant Combs with significant unmonitored resources caused defendants to receive the benefit detailed throughout this complaint. Defendants' willingness to provide significant unmonitored resources to defendant Combs was the quid pro quo for it receiving the benefit detailed herein. Let me see how long this is. All right, we're not going through all of this. Okay, well, let me see what this. Upon information and belief, defendant Vibe and PMC were also in the business of promoting money for X, as seen in the classified section of defendants Vibe and PMC, November 2006. So they're saying that they're in the business of promoting money for X. Look, let me look at these ads. What? They got the free party line. You guys see something on here? Mobile booty. What? Mobile dating single looking for some fun. Send hookup to 88990. What? What does that say? Text the word fat. What? Okay. Love chats. Hot talk. This looks, I guess, more of a dating type of situation. Interesting. Then they got their little psychic part over here. They got the beauty supply. Record deal. Looking for a record deal. That always seemed like a scam to me. Talking about looking for a record deal. I used to be like, I don't know about that. Upon information and belief, due to the facts that came to their attention through a complaint filed by Cassie Ventura and others, accusing defendant Combs of ex-trafficking, defendant knew to a certainty that Combs was engaged in ex-trafficking. Upon information and belief, defendant knew the names of many of Combs' ex-trafficking victims, including Plaintiff. Upon information and belief, defendants helped to conceal the names of Combs' victims from the public and from law enforcement and prosecuting agencies by helping to conceal the existence of the ex-trafficking enterprise, including failing to get a release of plaintiff before publishing her picture in Defendant Vibe and PMC's November 2006 magazine. This picture thing just ain't sitting right with me, but among the ways in which defendants helped to conceal the enterprise's existence was by failing to properly monitor or audit defendant Combs to ensure that the resources provided were being used in a legal manner, as well as ensuring that the proper accounting and tax reporting was made to the government. Okay, stretch. The 30th cause of action is obstruction of the enforcement of the trafficking victim. Defendants and its officers and employees knowingly and intentionally attempted to obstruct, interfere with, and prevented the enforcement. That this activity is hereinafter referred to collectively simply as obstruction. Upon information and belief, defendants' obstruction of the enforcement was forbidden by 18 U.S.C. Section 1591 sub D, and defendants thereby violated Chapter 77, Title 18. Defendant's obstruction described herein directly, proximately, and foreseeably harm plaintiff by directly resulting in her coercively being caused to engage in commercial acts in other ways. Upon information and belief, Defendant Combs has a well-documented history of criminal investigation. Defendants were on notice of Defendant Combs' proclivity to criminal activity. They knew or should have known that Defendant Combs' ex-trafficking enterprise would or could result in criminal investigation by state and federal prosecutors for violating, among other laws, the TVPA. Defendants should have taken a cue from the federal prosecutors' arrest and prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein on or about July 8th of 2019. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York indicted Epstein and unnamed associates for violating the TVPA. Later on, about June 29, 2020, the same office indicted Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, for conspiracy to entice victims to travel to be abused by Epstein. Defendant Combs, Jacob Thomas, and Doe all engaged in the same activities as Mr. Epstein and Miss Maxwell. In fact, Defendant Combs, Jacob Thomas, and Doe may have done worse than Epstein. Whoa. Upon information and belief, by providing marketing and resources for Defendant Combs' ex-trafficking enterprise and concealing their actions thereafter, defendants obstructed, interfered with, and prevented the state and federal government enforcement of the TVPA against Defendant Combs, Jacobs, Thomas, and Doe. Any filings of charges was delayed by defendants' actions, and because of that delay, plaintiff and many others subsequently thereafter was coercively caused to engage in commercial acts. One example of how defendants attempted to obstruct, interfered with, and prevented state and federal government enforcement of the TVPA, defendants Combs and Thomas paid plaintiff in cash so that the coercive commercial acts would escape the detection of state and federal law enforcement and prosecuting agency. Defendants provided resources to further defendants Combs' ex-trafficking enterprise and with the purpose of helping defendants evade criminal liability for violating the TVPA. Okay. The 31st cause of action is violation of New York civil rights law. The 32nd cause of action is violation of 43A of the Layman Act, and that's against Defendant Vibe and PMC. I didn't say who this one was against. 31st cause of action is against Vibe and PMC too. And 33rd cause of action is violation of common law unfair competition against Defendant Vibe and PMC. And that is it. That is the lawsuit that has been filed. The long lawsuit, but we got through it. GC said, Attorney Pam, this is a lot. Jury will need to break and drink and vacation after all these allegations. Well, what I anticipate is that the response to this, it's going to be a lot for whoever defends it as well. Because how I just skip through it, you can't skip through it. You have to respond line by line. What I would suspect is that a lot of these people are going to try to file a motion to dismiss. Some will try to dismiss all the claims, and some of them will try to dismiss some of the claims. So it won't be, I doubt that every last one of these claims will go before a jury if it gets that far. They may settle. I don't know. But some of these claims are probably going to end up being dismissed because in your initial complaints, you throw in everything you can conceivably think of. So I would presume, especially with these organizations and like Vibe and all of that, if Diddy paid to be in the Vibe magazine and he, it was the newer magazine at that time or whatever, and he's paying a whole lot of money to take over the magazine and to pay for covers and pay for advertisement, should they be on the hook for everything Diddy has done? So it's a lot of questions to it. So I would guess that a lot of the organizations, specifically the companies, which has been happening in a lot of Diddy's other lawsuits, the companies have been dismissed out of a few of those lawsuits. So some of the companies are probably going to be dismissed and some of the claims are probably going to be dropped. Sonya said, I better not see nobody pick from this chat at this part. Thank you for the super chat. Auntie even said for the slip up. Miss V, thank you. I already read that. Okay, I think I read all of these. Thank you. Say that. You said, hi, Pam. Why not just say Bajowski? Thank you for the breakdown. That's you for us. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, yeah, that is the latest lawsuit. Do you guys have any questions? Any questions? Any questions? We've been on for 2 hours. We skipped a whole lot, obviously, because we just would be here till tomorrow. So, Cassie had labels listed. Over accuse in hopes of success. Yeah, throw things up against the wall to see what sticks. A lot of people do that. So the response may be a dismissal of some of the cases. I don't really know. I don't practice in New York, so I don't know how this gender violence statute even works. Some have tested, and Diddy might be one of them, the constitutionality of being able to look back that far. But yeah. Very interesting. Thank you guys for coming on. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. Again, if you are catching the replay, you guys see this: discretion is advised. Trigger warning. This is adult content. There are pictures in there. Some pictures I wasn't ready to see myself. Pictures on top. There were pictures of the cover of her when she was doing films, adult films. That was on there. Yeah. Keisha said Blackburn advised her, but not her attorney. Keisha, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Blackburn isn't on this case. It's I told you it's Ariel Mitchell, and then she has, of course, she's gonna pro hoc in because she's out of Florida. She's out of Miami, Florida. So she has to get local counsel to co-counsel with her, and then she's requesting that the court allow her to pro hoc vice, which is for this one time only. She's able to be on this case in that state, and they give her permission to practice for this case. I'm tired. Nesto media lockdown order status. Unless something came down since I've been on here, there wasn't anything on the order related to media that I saw, unless something new happened since the last time I looked. Thank you for coming on the replay. Can I sue Diddy's mom for emotional distress and birthing a demon deviant? You know what, 504? Thank you for the super chat. They said his mother would, it's allegations out here related to his mom not being treated the best. Again, it's just alleged, Diddy. I'm not saying yay or nay. I don't know you. I wasn't there. The few times I was invited to gigs with Diddy, I declined. So I never was there, but I had always heard different incidents. And you hear a lot of stuff about celebrity parties, but I'm sure a lot of these parties have slowed down, if not stopped, since it should have happened since the Epstein situation. I agree with Ariel on that Epstein should have put everybody on notice. So waiting for Sonya to come out of the bushes and say she support Diddy. He don't know them folks. When it comes to that situation with Sonya, and that's for another video. I don't even want to convolute the two videos, but she has an interesting, I think, whether she has like a prosecutor's mind from a defense standpoint, if that makes sense. So oftentimes the friends that I know, or the people or associates that I know that do prosecution, they have a theory and they do whatever they need to do to stick to that theory. So if they have an idea, they go into it, and then they go in trying to confirm the idea instead of going with the open mind, which a lot of defense attorneys do. We go in with the open mind and we can see both sides. That's why, even though a lot of this stuff sounds egregious in this lawsuit, I can read something and say, I don't know about that. Because I don't just automatically go in like everything this person is saying is 100% solid proof of whatever. You go in with this open mindset. But then you have some people, like in my opinion with Sonya, for those of you that don't know, I'm talking about the Shirley Strawberry, Ernest Williams situation, who they have it planted in their mind what they want to believe, and nothing else matters. So they're going to try to consistently confirm their belief. That's what they're going to do. So, hey, lady in the clouds, 313. So, did the people tell Cat Williams 2024 is going this way, or he's a prophet? This is crazy. You guys, if you sowing in the prophets, you need to go ahead to Cat Williams, because apparently he has the gift, because he said what it was going to be, and it's been like that all 2024. Sonya's hairline said waiting or Sonya to say she support Diddy. I already read that. Sorry. All right, y'all. Yes, thank you guys for the support. Confirmation bias. Very cherry, that is right. What is this? Jackson versus Warner. What court is that in? Let me see. Let me be nosy and see what you talking about. 123. That's a 2023 case, and it's in federal court. Oh, you said New York Southern District. Let me be nosy and see what you're talking about before we get off here. Let me see. Let's see. You said against Destiny's Child, huh? Let's see. 23 CV 10507. It says it was closed June 11th. So this case is closed. Amended complaint. So you was pro se. Order dismissal. The court dismisses the action failure to state a claim under 28 USC not to be taken in good faith, and therefore status is denied for the purpose of an appeal. The court directs the clerk to the court dismissed this case on June 11th of 2024 for failure to state a claim, so it wasn't a cause of action. So there's that. Yeah. Hey, Sonia's Hairline, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. You said a motion for reconsideration coming soon. Yeah, they're not allowing you to appeal because it says that in the order. It has IFP status is denied for the purpose of an appeal because it would not be taken in good faith. Okay. Yeah, that's his case. That's their case against Destiny's Child. It's filed. People file cases against these celebrities all the time. I don't know what he's alleging now. Let me see. Since we're on here, let's see what the allegation is. Oh, honey, this is 307 pages. I was about to look at that, but it's 307 pages. We just sat here for 2 hours trying to mess with Reed Diddy's case. So anyway, we'll see what the response is. We'll see what happens. Let me see. You guys, please make sure you do that. Thank you guys for all 1,100 or whatever it got up to today. That rocked with you, girl. But yeah, this is Cat Williams is running 2024. He told y'all what this year was gonna be. And it has been everything that he said that it was going to be. So, what do we say? Hope you guys enjoyed the live. And we'll be back to do it all over again. Thank you again for all the donations. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.